Well, I definitely have to applaud Usopp's heart in this chapter. I mean, he has a tremendous amount of drive and push and heart, and it's always in the right place.
One Piece chapter 329. My name is Franky.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed, thrill-a-minute, gut-wrenching, story-driven tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with starting out the new volume and really going in and seeing, and really at the end of it, it was that Nami came upon Usopp and had found that he had been beaten very badly by the Franky family, and of course, they had to have the 200 million berries taken from him. She told him, don't worry, everything will be fine, we'll get it back. He still doesn't know about the Going Merry and the fact that it cannot be repaired. That's how things left off, and that's where things pick up, is we wind up getting, she's telling him, hey, just chill, I don't want to move you, just stay right here, I'm going to get back to the ship, we know where the idiot's hideout is, so we can go get him. The ship's right, right around the corner over here, I can go get Chopper to come back and tend to your wounds, right? So just don't move. So she goes back to the ship, and of course Sanji and Chopper are back now, and they're talking with Zoro, and everybody's just kind of commiserating amongst themselves and really kind of mourning in their own way, I guess you would say, about the Going Merry and certainly it being, it being unable to be repaired. So Zoro's kind of like, hey, listen, I love it too and everything else, but the way it works is that, as men or whatever, humans cross the sea back and forth and what have you, they get stronger. Ships, however, take stress and damage and everything else, and that's just kind of an is how it is. It is how it is. And they said, well, what are we going to do? And he said, well, we're going to wait until Luffy gets back and figure out what's going on with him. Now, Luffy's been, of course, missing since the last chapter, when he found out that Usopp got beat up, and he's going after, we presume, the Franky family. So the next portion of the chapter winds up taking place. Of course, Nami gets back, and she tells everybody what's going on and whatnot, and then they, of course, go out to find Usopp to help him and everything else. But what we wind up having happen is we go and we see then the Franky family house, right, where these degenerates hang out. And anyway, and you see them inside, and they're having a good time. They're all excited, and this is where we actually get to meet the head of this family, this Franky character. He's got this weird looking mask on too, and everything. When you see him, I think it's a mask. I don't know, but you see him, and he's like, wow, 200 million berries all at once, and you can tell that these people, they're scumbags. They're not responsible in any way, shape, or form, because they allude to something that they want to have the 200 million berries for, and that they could never save up that much before, Oh, we'd get some money from this, and I'd wind up betting it on some bull races and losing it all. Irresponsible. Or we'd wind up getting a bounty in this net, and we'd wind up spending all the money and being broke after we throw a big party, So it appears that it's a family of dumbasses, at least in my opinion, and I doubt that's going to change anytime soon, but that is how the family is made out to be, these schmucks. So anyway, all of a sudden, as they're going, and he's going to give, he's like, oh, here's not much, but here's 5 million, which I think roughly equates to about $50,000. Eat and drink and have a good time. As he says this, all of a sudden, poof, the whole wall goes and blows out, man. It's like the door, and it looks really cool the way. And then Usopp standing in the door with his slingshot all beaten up and battered and bloody, and I'm like, what the hell? How did Usopp find this? I thought maybe he ran into Luffy and Luffy's with him, But no, Usopp he's bound and determined to get that money back. He's like, give me that money back, And then they go and they explain to him, they're like, really? What are you going to do? First of all, they're explaining to their boss, to Franky, that this is the weakling, we thought the Straw Hat crew was going to be tough, but this guy he's a pushover, he's a joke, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, you know what? Listen, we stole from you, you're a pirate, so it isn't like you got the money in like a legal way or legal means. Anyway, you probably got it. It's probably dirty money anyway, nonetheless, so you can go cry to the Navy if you want, but they're probably going to wind up arresting you, and they ain't going to come do anything to us, So it's pretty much like a that's how it is type of situation, Well, as they go and are kind of taunting Usopp and everything else, and going to go to throw him out, if the Franky says we're going to throw him out, Usopp's like, boom, exploding star, right? Franky goes and like catches it in his hand, and then he goes and he says, says something, to the effect of, you better make sure you don't cross me, little man, or you're not going to leave this island alive, because obviously he thinks he's this big tough shit, this big swinging dick of the island. And you don't really see much of the character. Like I said, you kind of see this mask, and you see that he's and he isn't introduced formally as Franky yet and whatnot, so I assume that it's some kind of costume or some kind of, I don't know. Nonetheless, though, we see this guy, and he kind of looks like a bigger, imposing figure, but that's not really much to be said, because a lot of characters in One Piece are bigger, imposing figures. So I don't really take much of what he says worth it. But anyway, so they wind up, I'm assuming, beating the shit out of him and throwing him out of there. We then go, and towards the end of the chapter, we flash to, of course, Zoro and Chopper and Sanji, and they all went to. Nami stays on the ship because she's gonna protect the 100 million that they got and the ship itself, and she's standing over the gold with like guns pointing either way, you know, in this kind of goofy pose, but whatever. It's funny, I think. So then we go and we see in there, they go to the spot where Usopp was. There's blood there, but there's no Usopp. And I'm like, what the hell? What did he do? Damn fool, get up. Did he try to walk away? Did he try to go to the Franky family? All of a sudden, wah, from like building above, falls Luffy into the water. And they got to save his ass. And I'm like, what the hell were you doing? It's like, oh, I was trying to do what that guy did, Kaku, where he was doing the crazy like running and striding and jumping off buildings and everything. He's like, and I was jumping from building to building trying to look for Usopp. So even in his determined phase, he can't be taken very seriously. Nonetheless, though, you've got the 4 heavy hitters all together and all ready to go. You've got Chopper, you've got Sanji, you've got Usopp, and you've got Zoro, right? Or not Usopp, Luffy and Zoro, all with this goal in mind about, you know, helping Usopp. So they wind up actually going, and as they go towards the Franky family house, they wind up running into Usopp, right? And they see him, and he's laying there, battered and beaten on the ground, you know? And they see him, obviously, outside of there, and they're like, son of a bitch, you know? Is he breathing, Chopper? And then Chopper's like, yeah, he's not dead. I can save him, but he's completely unconscious. So he was beaten so badly. And then they're like, why would he go and attack them by himself? You know, it doesn't make any sense, you know? And anyway, so... And then they're thinking, well, it's probably because he felt, you know, he felt bad about the money and everything. Because he was explaining to them, he was trying to plead with the Franky family. He's like, you don't understand. We need that money to fix our ship, to fix the Going Merry, you know? I can't let you have it, you know? So it was a very heartfelt moment for me and very tender and touching, because even though Usopp is a weaker character physically, for him to go and I'm already beaten and bloody, to go to this place, this hideout of the Franky family and do this, to me it took some big ass nuts, you know what I mean? Was it too bright? Probably not, but a lot of times you're at that point you're operating off of just pure raw emotion and adrenaline, and I think that's what was going for him. So, but I like this though. This almost reminds me of like the march to Arlong Park, you know. They're all standing there, right? They're all, you get the look where they're all manned up, all 4 of them just looking, you know, Zoro's tying his, you know, and everybody's getting ready, you know, and Chopper's, you know, hulking up and shit. Luffy just looks pissed. Sanji, of course, lights a smoke, you know, because you get the cancer flowing really good, and you're a better fighter. And then he's like, we're going to go demolish that ridiculous house. So you got these 4 just walking towards this Franky family house, and then you get to see all the little things inside, you know, like inside their party. Hey, get more food, more drink, more this. You guys, let me just tell you something, Franky family. You guys are fucked. That's just, it's simple as that. You're screwed. There really is no, I don't think there's going to be any any getting out of this one for the Franky family. So definitely excited to see what happens in the next chapter. But my chapter question, though, brothers and sisters, is really what were your thoughts on Usopp and of course, what he did? Could have waited a few minutes for his crewmates, and although he still felt embarrassed and everything like that about losing the money, certainly they beat him up. Regardless, I think they probably would have beat him up even if it was only 1 or 2 of them. But they had numbers, okay? And as I've learned from seeing people, you get a lot of people that try to act big and tough only because they have numbers. Because they got 10 of their homies at their back, they like to talk shit to other people. They wouldn't fuck with you one-on-one. Most of them wouldn't, you know? And I don't know if the Franky family's like that. I got a feeling they're like cockroaches, though. They just kind of stick together and just, you know, whatever, man. Just come out, you know, as soon as the light goes off, they skitter out and try to do whatever they can. But Usopp, what do you think about his decision to just go and man up, even though he was bloodied, beaten, broken, and whatnot, just because he lost the money? Do you think that was the right choice, or do you think he should have waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and gotten together with his crew, regrouped, and then they could have went in there like gangbusters and destroyed the place? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Remember to follow me on Twitter and Facebook and even my other channel.